Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Ultra hardware number 44255. This is a grade 2 cylindrical lever passage set. And I gotta tell you, my first impression of this lock is, wow, it's a nice quality lock for the cost. Substantial, weighs 4.5 pounds. This lock, at least it does with its package, and then of course the box that it ships in. Now it's a passage set, which that function is actually buried within the part number, and as you're looking at the Ultra hardware locks, you do need to review the description to determine what the function is, because their generic description doesn't necessarily give all the information. So this is a passage set. It's going to be just for a closet door, something of that nature. It's obviously in the satin chrome finish. Angle type lever, they call that. That's of course the standard commercial lever type that's completely ADA compliant. Okay, let's go over the pieces and parts that you're going to get with this. First of all, an ASA strike. That's included. That's a 4 7/8 strike. That's intended for installation almost always in a hollow metal frame. Some people will chisel it into a wood frame, but that's atypical. You will of course get your latch bolt, and that is a spring latch, 2 3/4 back set. Okay. 2 3/8 on these is not impossible to do. We can do it, but I don't believe Ultra hardware has 2 3/8 latch bolts. Should that be something that you require, feel free to reach out to us and we'll help assist in sourcing that for you. You'll get the sleeve that's going to slide over that. That would be typical for a 1-inch hole. So if you had a 7/8 hole, you'd probably not use that. You will get a dust box. This dust box does not work with anything that's here. This would be typical for a 2 1/4 inch or even 2 3/4 T-strike. You know, this 4 7/8 strike, there is no dust box included, so that's a mismatch of parts. You will then finally get your screw package, and it's very simple and straightforward. The screws that are included with this lock, you're going to get 2 bolts that are going to hold the lock together, and we're going to go over that in a moment. Then you're going to get the 2 12/24 combination screws for the strike. Combination means wood and machine thread. Then you will also get the 2 like number 8 flathead screws, and that will be to hold the latch bolt into the edge of the door. Take note of the fact that that is a wood screw only. You might need to source machine screws if you're going. You will need to source machine screws if you're going into a hollow metal frame. Okay, now the lock itself. The one other item that is included in that package is this little tool, and all it really allows you to do is to remove the lever from the inside, and the inside is determined by the side opposite of the posts at 12 and 6. The access hole in there is there, and that's just a tab that when you depress the tab, you'll be able to, with the other hand, pull the lever off. Okay. Now, one thing I really like about this design is those notches, or these cutouts that are here, and that's because it engages very positively with this portion back here that I'm going to call the spring cage, and inside of there is where those springs are that allow that lever to return. You know, there are springs, of course, that are inside of here for the retractor of the latch bolt, but those springs do not do any job of lifting that lever back up vertical, and they're buried in there. And one nice design of the Ultra lock is that it gives you a positive sort of mechanical connection there. A little bit more, significantly more abuse resistant in my opinion. So you'll have your plate. That item here will rotate and come off. It's just grease that you see on the inside of there. Okay. That one other plate I took off the door, and really your only installation aspect is going to be when you have your 2 1/8 inch hole drilled, your through bolt holes at 12 and 6, those are going to be 5/16 holes. There is a link below this video to a document called Template, and bear with me as I locate it. Here, sorry, forgive me. The template is here. You'll be able to locate this actually on the door, mark your 2 holes. They are 2 3/4 inch center to center from each other. You might find that that's compatible with other major brands of locks, and you might have a template all ready to go. But nonetheless, 11/32 diameter holes they're asking for. I said 5/16 earlier. It's properly 11/32, and then 1 3/8 either way. Then, when you have that installed, you will slide this from what would be the exterior. Your 2 posts will go through the door. You're going to, at this moment, check for proper operation. You can adjust the door thickness on this, and that is covered in the installation instructions. I won't go over it now because it's very uncommon to install this on anything but an 1 3/4 door. Then, once you have that through the door, you will simply take the plate that's here. Okay, that is going to fit down over those 2 little prongs. Those are meant to bite into the face of the door, or they're meant to go into the little semicircles that you're going to see on a hollow metal door that are at 3 and 9. What will happen next is you're going to bring your spring cage assembly back over all of this. Then what happens here is you've got a preparation here and here for the screws. Those are the 2 zinc screws that are here. They will go through that housing assembly, and they will thread to the back of your post, and you're just going to tighten it. Don't over tighten it. Don't use a screwdriver. Don't use any power drill. You're going to want to make sure that you've got it tight and just a slight rotation past that, and then you're done. Test for proper door operation immediately. Make sure that the latch retracts all the way. Make sure the levers return to vertical. If they don't, loosen the screws. Quite frankly, if the hole is drilled properly, the 2 1/8 hole is drilled straight, and then the cross bore for the latch bolt is also drilled straight, and then your through bolt holes at 12 and 6 are straight as well. What I generally do, will just grab that lock when it's loose, and I'll just move it a little bit on the door. I'll test its operation, and then I'll tighten the screws back up, and that generally fixes the problem. It loosens it up, gets it to a midpoint. It might be compressed too far on one side of the hole or on one side of the door. Over tightening the screws will absolutely compromise the lock's ability to, operate properly. So your 2 screws go here, then your scalp plate will just, you can see the raceway that's here. We'll just down and rotate. It snaps on, it stays on. Then of course the final thing is to bring that lever. You may not have heard it, but as I pushed it down, it locked in place. It's done. This lock is on. I like Ultra because the lock installation is really straightforward. I don't like the fact that there's a mismatch of a dust box for the improper strike, but the fact of the matter is the lock installation aspect is very simple and straightforward. I would not hesitate to suggest that you use these locks. They're commercial grade locks, exit devices, door closers, hinges from Ultra. What I have been finding over the last couple of years is that there are clients that have become accustomed to using it. They'll either order it to try it, or they'll, quite frankly, already have been familiar with it, and they continue to purchase the Ultra hardware line of that commercial hardware. The bottom line is, from my perspective, is feedback from my client base is that the stuff works, doesn't fail, works great, ships in a reasonable time, is very economical, and quite frankly, unless you have a project that is going to take significant use and abuse, or must be, or because it has been specified with a specific manufacturer, you can certainly, it is not very forthright to not suggest a lock that is a good quality lock at a specific price point. The downside, of course, of locks that will be imported from Ultra, and they're a significantly major importer of many things hardware related, not only commercial hardware, is you won't get replacement parts. If you need to rebuild the retractor hub because it failed, you won't get that at all. So you're not going to see these locks in those sorts of installations that will require an internal facility, like a school, or a hospital, the ability of the internal engineering department to continue to rebuild that stuff. But I have sold this material to contractors who've installed it in major coffee shop retail chains on their closet doors, the privacy function on retail bathroom doors, and the stuff just works. And the logic is, for what the cost of this is, I can replace it 3 times. Sometimes when you're buying a heavy-duty lock. The fact of the matter is, under normal use, this is a great option. Imported or lower quality, lower cost locks are much less tolerant of vandalism, use, significant use, and abuse. But if you have adult use and no concern over vandalism, or very little concern, this is a great option. So wrapping this up, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up the entire Ultra hardware catalog and review not only their commercial hardware but their residential hardware as well. They have a significant offering of cabinet hardware. For this lock specifically, there is a link to the installation instructions, which are here, and quite frankly, this small, short little tutorial that I went through. Once the hole is drilled, and there is a portion here that talks about that, that's your installation aspect. There is an itemization of what the parts are. It's certainly very handy to know what parts are called, but the fact of the matter is the installation is generally that simple. There's also a link to the template, which is, of course, included in your box, as well as are the installation instructions. If you have any questions on the Ultra hardware, number 44255, commercial grade cylindrical passage lever set, or any other Ultra hardware product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.